I'm Daniel. There was a point in my life when I thought everything was perfect. Have you ever watched your entire world turn upside down in an instant, or witnessed the person you trusted the most deeply wound you? 5 years ago, I married Rose. I always found her to be loving and caring. Together, we brought our daughter Eliza into this world, the love of our lives. However, the pandemic arrived and everything changed. I lost my job, and while Rose continued to work in an office, I started doing whatever jobs I could find to make ends meet. This situation created tension in our marriage, and we began to argue frequently. In one of these arguments, Rose slapped me in front of our daughter. Although Eliza might not have understood the situation, it deeply shook me. Rose constantly reminded me of my unemployment, deepening the rift between us. Everything continued until the day I came home early, and my entire world was turned upside down. That day, as soon as I opened the door, the sounds from the kitchen accelerated my heartbeat. I heard Rose's laughter, then a man's voice, and Rose moaning harder. At that moment, I felt as if my feet were lifted off the ground. I silently directed steps towards the kitchen door, and there, leaning against the kitchen counter, I found Rose with another man. It's impossible to describe the shock I felt at that moment. When Rose saw me, her eyes filled with terror, and she screamed, "Daniel!" The man quickly separated from her. There I stood like a statue, not knowing what to do. At that moment, the fear in Rose's eyes made me realize that everything I had believed in for years was a lie. I didn't say a word. I just wanted to leave. Rose pleaded behind me, "Daniel, please listen to me." But I just took my wife's keys and went to pick up my daughter from school. Later, Rose apologized through text messages. "I love you. I'm so sorry. Forgive me," the messages said, but the words no longer had any meaning. From that moment on, all I could think about was my daughter Eliza. To shake off the shock of the event, I decided to have a coffee and walked into a cafe. There I saw the man who was with my wife 10 minutes ago, and he saw me. I noticed the uneasiness in his eyes and wanted to talk to him. Our conversation, and learning that he also believed Rose's lies, completed the betrayal. The man sitting across from me was Johnson from Rose's office. He explained that Rose told him she was single and her ex-husband lived in another state. Johnson confessed their affair had been going on for 3 months. This fully exposed the extent of the betrayal. When I returned home to my daughter's side, I had never felt more fragile in my life. I decided everything with Rose had to end. Searching for a divorce lawyer and concerns about custody indicated how complicated this process would be. My great wish was for Eliza to emerge from this process with as little damage as possible. Everything with Rose had ended. She could continue her relationship with Johnson, but I needed to focus on the most precious being in my life, my daughter. The divorce process began, and I was willing to share custody of my daughter. Rose disappearing from our lives in this manner would be too traumatic for Eliza. Rose and I completely parted ways. While trying to do the best for my daughter, I realized how much this process changed me. Sharing my story is an attempt to slightly alleviate the pain I'm going through. I'm about to start anew with my daughter, and although my heart is wounded, I look forward to the future with hope. Although Rose and I have separated our paths, Eliza and I will continue to cling to each other and move on in life. Despite everything, my daughter's smile is the biggest proof that life is worth living.